Okay, yesterday we left off. We finished the Shulchan Aruch. Today we will go through the Mishna Berurah as well as other points. Yesterday the question was asked by someone, I forgot who, about why when it comes to putting food, when it comes to feeding animals that don't belong to us or fish on Yontif, why is there a problem? So we saw
I have another question too. Is this a riot that?
And if you take a look in Tov Sadi Zayin, Shulchan Aruch writes, "Dogim v'oifois v'chaya shehem mukso ein mashkin oison b'yom tov ein oisim l'fanayim bezoinus." Why? Shema yavoy likach mehem. Fish, birds, animals that are mukso, you're not allowed to provide them with a water or food on Yontif. This is in hilchos Yontif. You're not allowed to. Why? Shema Yavo Likach Mehev, says the Shulchan Aruch, you might come to take it from them.
Take what?
Take the food back from them, which it seems like is muksa. La'achlam, the Mishna Berurah says. You might come to take it from them to eat it. Right? So now, in the continuation, the Shulchan Aruch says, V'kol ma'asha aser, when we said it's prohibited, la'achlo, l'shtamish b'mneshu muksa asla taltalo. So, in the Oz V'Hadam Mishna Berurah, they give a brief summary. There are numerous reasons provided by the Rishonim why you're not allowed to provide animals or fish with food, which obviously directly affects tashlich, not feeding them on Yontif. Yeshe Perishu, some explain, including Rashi, that what they don't need your food, and therefore it's considered unnecessary exertion. In fact, in some parks where they have bodies of water, it says do not feed the wildlife, do not feed the animals. It could sometimes be harmful from them. But notwithstanding that fact, over here, it's considered tircha shalol l'sarach, unnecessary exertion, which is going to be a problem. Yeshe perishut, some explain, she'ein l'chroyach avar muksa. L'chein imein mechusarim sida v'gamein muksa reis m'leveim avonis aval ha-mechusarim sida chutz me-isser sida sheyesh behem haga heim ga muksa kivan she'ein yecholim litol mehem b'yom tov machmas isser sida. Which means that if these animals are considered animals which aren't trapped, and it requires trapping them to get the food, so now there's an issue when it comes to the trap. Right? There's an issue when it comes to giving these animals, these wild animals, food over here. Right? Number one, there's a prohibition of trapping them on Yontif. But number two, it's a problem of muksa. Right, so that's another reason. This is another very logical reason. As we explained before, these animals aren't trapped. There's a concern that you might come to trap them on Yontif itself, which obviously you're not allowed to do. Another reason number four, is that there's a concern that you might take back the food. But if they don't eat the food, maybe you're going to take it, save it for another animal later. Who knows, whatever it is. So the point is that there are at least four reasons why it's a problem. Number one, unnecessary exertion. Number two, that there could be a muksa issue. Number three, you might come to trap. And then number four, you might take the food back from them, which is a problem. Muksa that way.
But how is it unnecessary exertion here? We're talking about tashlich. We're talking about a
unnecessary exertion, as we specified before, is because these animals don't need your food; they could survive without it. So therefore, feeding it is considered a cherry on the cake, which is unnecessary, and it's therefore unnecessary exertion. It's not the cake.
But isn't it potential mitzvah?
No, it's aser. It's an avera.
All right.
Okay. So We learned the siman. We'll slice and dice. Which one? I that reason also I agree. It's hard to understand. But that's why you have the other three reasons. Kavches? Which kavches? This is kaveh.
That's okay.
Dogam vaifus? Shehim muksa? Right,
that list, I'm just having trouble.
yeah, you might came. V'yavar l'shem muksa. It's chafei. Avshit shem muksa atzma derabbanan. It's not gzeir d'chuda gzeir. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. All right, so this is a brief sikum of the reasons why it's prohibited on Shabbos or Yontif to feed animals which don't belong to you. Okay, so you have these 4 reasons, and that's the Indian, and that's the Shulchan Aruch. Without further ado, we're gonna now go through the Shulchan Aruch and the Mishna Berurah. Now, it should be pointed out, yesterday we said Yihadam Rogil Echel Rosh Hashana Rubio Dahainu Tlusan. This is a type of kitnios, legume. Okay, that's this word tilson. Maybe fenugreek. It's type of legume. Okay, everything else we translate. Okay, let's start with the Be'er Hativ. Be'er Hativ is not a discussion for now, but just it should be pointed out. Ayin Taisvus Avodah Zarah Daf Heyam and Beis. Tam shetiknu laharbois b'seuda b'Rosh Hashana. So he says, look at Taisvus and Avodah Zarah. The reason why they enacted to have a lot of sudas in Rosh Hashana, the time of din cheshbon, it should be a serious time, not a time of feasting. The basic idea is, basic hashkafa, is that we know that we're going to be victorious in our judgment, so therefore it's a time of oneg as well.
Gilu Berurah, right?
Gilu Berurah, yes, that's correct. But if it's a time when there's a seriousness, such as Yom Kippur, certain times you have to fast, there's a little different, but that's the idea with Rosh Hashana. Very interesting idea. Okay, we're gonna run through these Mishna Berurahs and then we're gonna take it from there.
The reason why the Rub highlighted behavior is not brought down in the Mishna Berurah.
Yeah, this is not brought down in the Mishna Berurah. And that's why I wanted to do it first, because chronologically the Be'er Hativ comes before the Mishna Berurah. Okay, let's take a look at the Mishna Berurah in Aleph. Kishayochel Rubia, who adin mashanikra b'lashonos acherim lashon revia. Same idea as what we call in other languages, this lashon of revia yoichal, you should eat them. Kol medina kilashoina. Every single place, the wording that they use. Okay, yiratzon. You say the yiratzon lefanacha Hashem Elokeinu v'Elokei Avoseinu sheyirba zechu yoseinu. That our merits should be increased. They should have a lot of merits. Okay, because of Eliyarabba, B'Shleim Shlah, the Eliyarabba writes in the name of the Shlah. Yisayir Adam b'Teshuva kishayoymer Yehi Ratzon v'Yispal al Zeh b'Leiv Shalom. That a person should awaken, he should have repentance awakened inside of him when he says the Yehi Ratzon, and he should daven with the full heart, wholeheartedly. In other words, when someone davens over, when someone says this Yehi Ratzon, he shouldn't just say it, this, that, they're joking about the foods, this, that. No. It's a time to think about introspection, to be mafashbesh b'maisav, think about your tshuva, thoughts of repentance. That's what it comes down to when a person says the hirotza. Tapuach masad midvash, apple and honey. There's already old news. This Mishna Berurah, we learned it yesterday in the Magen Avram and the Taz, but tapuach ikar. The apple is considered the main item. Umevarech alav upoiter hadvash. And therefore, one would recite the bracha on the apple, the B'rei Priya, and exempt the honey. And even though someone is eating, we're going to be eating the apple after the bracha of Hamoitzi, and seemingly l'chayra, the bracha of Hamoitzi should cover the bracha of the apple, because the bracha of Hamoitzi covers everything except for dessert. Nevertheless, you need to make a bracha on it. It's considered dvarim habarim b'soicha suda shloimach masuda, as we learned yesterday, items that are coming during the suda, not for the suda itself, in which case one would need to recite a bracha. Yesh nohagin, some of the custom, l'tabel hamoitzi b'dvash, to dip the challah from the hamotzi in honey. Ozdalid, Tischadesh New Year v'yomer bakasha acher haschalos halchila, and you should say this bakasha after you begin eating. Because it's prohibited to interrupt between the bracha and the eating. The truth is that this itself is a massive discussion, which we also saw at length yesterday in the Magen Avram. Machas is a shekel helped tremendously to understand the Magen Avram, which is that this Yihiratzon is a interruption. Lichatchila, the Magen Avram paskins, technically speaking, it's Sarachachila, it's needed for the eating. So therefore, the order would be like this: say the Borei eat, then say the Hiratzon, then continue eating. Okay. Now, if a person would reverse that order slightly and say the bracha, then you Hiratzon, and then eat, your bracha would still work. It would still be chal. It's not considered hefsek because it's Sarachachila, but lechatchila, it's also lahafsek. Prohibited to interrupt. Shana Masuka, sweet ear. Val Cain, and therefore. Not coming. So you better put it in the middle. Val Cain, and therefore, Yeshnim Notin, some refrain. Lavashal Rosh Hashana mini choymet borscht. Some explain that you should refrain from cooking on Rosh Hashana a type of vinegar called borscht, and something similar. Okay, therefore. Yeshnim Notin, Vikidom and something similar. Va'alkein, ha'oichlin dogim l'simana sheyifru b'yer v'kidogin ima vashlim oisim achametz. And therefore, someone who's eating dogim, because the dogim has the symbolism to be fruitful, like fish, you should not cook that in vinegar. So in other words, stay off of the vinegar, especially with the salads. You got to be careful. A lot of times people they use it for salads. So you want to stay away from that. And the basic idea, as also you see when you learn the Mishna Berurah, after you learn it up from the Torah Shulchan Aruch and all the commentaries on the Shulchan Aruch and Osei Kelim, you see it's all old news. Mishna Berurah is quoting it. We already learned it yesterday, and the idea is over here that you don't want to have something bitter, and the vinegar is not sweet, so therefore you don't want to have the vinegar. That's where this comes from. Okay. Then he adds a line which we didn't see. We never saw this. This is in the Chai Adam. So it was impossible to see it on any of the commentaries on the Shulchan Aruch. The Chai Adam came after. V'hinei kol elu hanyanim. All of these simanim that we're doing. Oisin hakol l'siman tov. We do all this for a good sign. L'chein, and therefore, pshita sheyizaher ma'oid shelo yichas b'yamim ha'elu. It's obvious that a person should be very careful not to get angry during these days. Melvad goydel ha'isr. Besides from the fact that it is a big prohibition to get angry any time of the year. Especially this time of year, you have to be careful. So that it will be a good sign. Rather, what should you be? Only yes, libo. Your heart should be happy. And have belief in Hashem.
What are we talking about? Are we talking about Aseret Tshuva?
And the good acts that we're going to do. Question?
What's the time period we're talking about? Erev Rosh Hashana? We're talking about Aseret Tshuva.
We're talking about the simanim.
Oh, just that during that part of the Suda, we're not supposed to be angry. That's I'm saying.
Oh, this Chai Adam, you're saying? Oh, this
yeah.
Seems like he's going on the simanim, right? But B'yamim
Yelu.
B'yamim Yelu is referring to the whole Rosh Hashana
I
b'fashis.
think Elul, Tishrei,
B'yamim Yelu, I don't know.
The whole year.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
I
It's a
don't know.
good
Just the
question.
whole year, not supposed to be angry anyway, but he's specifically
sure.
warning you with these days.
Specifically over here. All right, we'll have to see if those Vahadid touches that up. Have to see. Get that look at the Chai Adam inside. Yeah, definitely refer. Okay, I see what you're asking. It definitely refers to Rosh Hashana, especially during the simanim. Okay, Rosh Kavis. You want to eat the head of a sheep. Toiv Yoiser Shel Ayel. Better to eat the head of a ram. Okay.
Because the whole point was to be maskir, the ayel shover, the Al-Qaeda.
Correct. Kate Siska, correct. Weimer Nihel LaRoche, you want to be the head. Yalkim Yinain LaRoche Kavis, if you don't have the head of a sheep. Interesting. Now he's going back to the sheep. Yoichel Rosh Acher Shel Behema or Shalof. Eat the head of another animal or bird. So you could do that. I remember as a joke, we got the gummy fish, the candy fish. You eat the head of that. So you're not yotze with that because you have to eat dafka the head of a behemoth of. That's just for
not a fish.
Doug, he says Doug, no?
Where does he say Doug here? He says Rosh Hashana shel behemoth of.
Some people put that. I think some people get the head of the fish also.
Yeah, but that's correct. He didn't bring that. Now you have a lot of his idea of fish. Maybe you could tie that in the heads again. We
Okay.
have to keep in mind what the
Forget
Torah says, that
animal
everyone's got a
crackers.
different, animal crackers. You have to keep in mind what it says in the Torah, that everyone has different minhagim and each is legit. Look, eating the animal crackers or eating the fish that are in the shape of a candy, that doesn't count as squat. That's a joke. That's for the kids.
Why? You could be
It's-
siman.
Yeah.
You know, Rabbi Blumenkrantz Rosh had the famous ice cream for the good new year.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Rabbi Blumenkrantz.
Look, this stuff is cute, but in terms of if you want to really be Makayim the simanim, you got to man up and eat the head of a behemoth or an elf.
The road has the head of a
Hey,
behemoth.
when do,
I'm not manly
Yeah,
enough. I'm not manly in that. But
what?
but
that?
just talk the talk. But no, I go with the tour. I go with the apple and honey. We have some pomegranates, whatever. I have old Torah on pomegranates. Everyone's gonna love that. But first, let's finish this Mishna Berurah. Hanar. So you go to the river to do tashlich. Now we're switching gears to tashlich. Loimer tashuv trachamenu v'goimer. Mishum disa medrash. And midrash relates an interesting episode. People don't know this is why we do tashlich. The average Orthodox Jew thinks we do tashlich throwing away your sins. Right, but wrong. There's another reason why we do it. Sha'over Avram Avinu ad savaro b'mayim. Avram Avinu, he's up until his neck in water. Kishaholoch lahakrivo agabe mizbeach. When Avram Avinu went to bring Yitzchak on the mizbeach, akedis Yitzchak, Yamar, and he said, "Eibishter Rabbeinu Shalom Hoishio Kivo Mayim Anefesh, save me. The water is coming all the way up to my soul. It's going to drown me." So what we do is to commemorate that episode. We do this, the meaning to commemorate that case. In other words, us going to the water symbolizes that Hashem saved Avram Avinu when he was on his way up to the Yakedah. V'tov l'makom sheish b'dagim chaim. It's good to go to a place that has fish that are alive, a body of water that has live fish. Why? Mishna Berurah answers. With siman shaloi tishlo banu ayin hara. Reason one, it's a sign that shaloi tishlo banu ayin hara, that the ayin hara, the evil eye, will not rule over us. Number two, that we will be fruitful and multiply like fish. Number three, we just said in Parsha the other day in Nitzavim, we're compared to fish. And there's even more tires on it that we'll see as we continue. There's more ideas why you go to the water. So these are very nice ideas which aren't so well known. Ubiksavim kasav nahar or be'er. In the ksavim, as we saw in the Magen Avraham, it's written to a body of water or to a well. The tov shiem achutz liyir. It's good if the bodies of water is outside of the city. Why? Doesn't explain. You want to go on the first day after mincha before sunset. And you say the pasuk of Mikel Kamocha, etc. Ad kan l'shoino. Okay. Now, till here is the wording of who? That's the ksavim. Continuing. In some places I saw that when you go on the first day on Shabbos, that when it falls out, when Rosh Hashana falls out on the first day of Shabbos, you go on the second day of Rosh Hashana to the river. Why not the first? Could be, explains the Prima Gadam, as we already saw the Prima Gadam inside, but the Mishna Berurah quotes him, it could be that the river is outside of the city, the body of water is outside of the city. Mishum hoitza shenoisim svarim v'kedom. It's a problem of carrying svarim, more of a problem on Shabbos and Yontif. L'kach holchim b'yom sheni. That's why you go on the second day. Okay, we saw in the Ramah not to sleep b'yom during the day of Rosh Hashana. Mishum d'isa b'Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi teaches us. We saw this in the Taz already. Manda damach b'reishas damach mazlik. We're gonna have to slice and dice that up. Go into that a little bit more. But manda damach b'reishas. Whoever sleeps on Rosh Hashana damach mazlik will have sleepy luck, sleep in mazel. We're going to talk about that more, sleeping, a lot more, because this Yerushalmi, we do not have this anymore. The Ramah over here says it's a Yerushalmi. However, we currently don't have this in our Yerushalmi. So we're going to have to talk about that. Number one. Number two is, what does the word damach mean? This word damach, 99 of 100 people would say that it's referring to sleeping. But it doesn't necessarily, it doesn't usually mean that in Shas. So we're going to go into that more. There's a nice Rabbi Baruch Epstein has a nice idea on this in the Sefes Bracha and Parsha Samar. We're going to go through that. Barizal Amar Sha'achar Chatzos mutter liyishana. Rizal says that after chatzos is permissible to sleep. After halachic midday, it's permissible to sleep. Why? Shekfar netzara hamalach al yedei tefilus tekiyos. Because the angel already woke up through our davening and shofar. What on earth does that mean? It's our shofar and our davening is alarm clock. So as we learned yesterday, pretty sure it was the machasis shekel. Perhaps it was Prima Gadam. I'm pretty sure it's machasis shekel. He explained that when we daven, when we blow shofar, we create malachim. Those malachim, they then subsequently daven for us. In other words, Havdil, when a person's starting off, they got to work, and then they put aside a little bit, and it gets invested properly, so that later they could finally retire if they want and sit on their entire all day, right? So the idea is that what is that in the beginning you got to hustle more, but at the end it's working on its own. It's the same thing with this malach, so to say. In the beginning you got to hustle, you got to daven hard. But don't worry, after chatzos, you could take it easy. You could rest a little bit because the malach that you created is now davening on your behalf and taking care of you. The habach by his chodesh of Yoel Circus Kosev Shaharam. That's what Meir Rutenberg. Hayashim Rosh Hashana. He would sleep on Rosh Hashana himself. Could be the reason why he would sleep is there's around 7 leniencies why you're allowed to sleep, and we're going to learn about that more. So that's why maybe he slept. V'yoshi batel kiyoshin dami. If someone is sitting idly, it's as if he is sleeping. We also saw this already. I'm not going to run. Why? Because you're not creating the malach. If you're not creating the malach won't daven on you. Chayyadim writes, after you eat your suda, so then yikba'atzmo l'limuda. You should be kaiveya, set aside time to learn Torah. Immersion covered love if your head is heavy on you, meaning you're tired. You should sleep a little. If it's impossible for you to focus without sleeping a little, sleep a little bit, then get back to work, get back to this farm. And then the Mishna Berurah points out a minute. I don't know anyone who does this. Some of the custom to finish the whole Tehillim on Rosh Hashana. The Shara Tzion in Os Yud says in a pressing situation, in a pressing situation, you could rely on Meir Rutenberg, who wasn't concerned about sleeping on Rosh Hashana and not sleep on Rosh Hashana. One miscellaneous question, which is very interesting, and a lot of people talk about it, is we're talking over here. One of the simanim is a rimon. All right, we go back to the Shulchan Aruch over here. Yiratza and etc. Silka Tamari Kra. Where do we say the rimon? And where do we see the rimon? So we saw it over here. The Rubia, was that it? I don't know. Okay, but one of the simanim is a rimon. Where do we see that? Oh, rimonim, yeah, Ramak, good call. Some eat pomegranates, and they said our merit should be increased like the pomegranate. The question becomes: there's a word on the street out there that pomegranates have 613 seeds. The question is there any source for this? Number one. Number two, is that factual? And number three, no, just two things. So what's the story over there with the pomegranates, okay? So in the biography of Rav Chaim Kanievsky, this actually takes up some real estate in the biography, this exact question. You look on page 215 to 216, it says over there that Rav Zilberstein, they're actually coming to make a point over here that Rav Chaim not only knew what's in Shas Bavli, Yerushalmi, Medrash, Zohar, etc., but he knew what isn't there also. Okay, that's the point that they're trying to make, what does not appear. So a lot of times people would ask if a certain quote appears in those places in Shas, in Zohar, in Medrash, and he was able to say it doesn't. So one time Rav Zilberstein asked Chaim Kanievsky, does this pomegranate have 613 seeds, and therefore we should eat it on Rosh Hashana because of the 613 positive mitzvahs, daraisa, taryag mitzvahs? Reb Chaim thought for a minute and he said, no, it's not in Talmud Bavli, it's not in Shas. Thought a little bit more, it's not in Yerushalmi. Thought a little bit more, not in Medrash, not in Zohar. Right, so where is it? So Chaim said, bring me Shir HaShirim. So they got a Shir HaShirim. And you open up Shir HaShirim. I looked at it late last night, to to validate this. And if you look at the pasuk in Perek Daled pasuk Gimel, Kepelech Harimu Rakasech. You look at the Malbim over there. The Malbim brings. I didn't make a PDF because it was pretty short. The Malbim over there says that a pomegranate has 613 seeds. Now, what I did make a PDF on is the next part. He said, I'm not stopping there. The Sefer in his drashos also talks about this, and I found the exact spot and made a PDF on this as well.
He quoted the
Reb Chaim then proceeded to quote the Chasam Sofer in his drashos in a Chelik Beis, and it's in Joshua. What was it? Tuf Kuf Sadi Aleph. All right, that's the drasha that this was in, and it says pre harimon hu chashemod. First of all, he says a point that the pomegranate is very chashev. It's a very important fruit. Number two, the Chasam Sofer says tangentially in this tshuva in this drasha, Lufianis daiti. This is actually Shabbos Gadol drasha, if I'm not mistaken. He says Lufianis daiti b'shiadua. It's known. Ki harimon yeshbo taryag garinim neged taryag mitzvahs. Pomegranates have 613 seeds corresponding to the 613 mitzvahs, and he goes on and continues, and he says that the pomegranate when it sorry, and then he talks about Farkas Avni. I already wrote about this in many places, and he says if the seeds allude to the mitzvahs, in kena osim rimoinim shu ikar, the juice of the pomegranate is the main part of the fruit. Merames, that alludes to ala Torah. Main shel dvash isim, like honey juice. Rimoinim nimsa. Rimoin kishehu b'shleimusa merames al talmid chacham. The pomegranate, when it's full, alludes to a talmid chacham she'oisik b'Torah shabbat taryag mitzvos u'makaymin, who learns Torah and it also has the 613 mitzvahs which he fulfills. So we see from over here that this source of a pomegranate having 613 mitzvahs is nowhere in Shas, Zohar, or in Medrash. However, it's brought by a Malbim and a Chasam Sofer. Now, if you just put into Google, do pomegranates have 613 mitzvahs? So according to the AI that comes up on Google, they say it's a misconception, even though it's a Jewish tradition. Okay? Now, I don't like the basic idea is, from what they say over here, is that a pomegranate, their seeds could range anywhere from 200 to 1,200. And that's what it is. Now, they go into an idea that it could be that the pomegranates in the time of the Chasam Sofer they bring. There's a website over here that comes up after the AI thing, and it says that some say that the pomegranates during the time of the Chasam Sofer had an average of 613, or they were very rare pomegranates that had exactly 613 seeds. However, today, the pomegranates could range in terms of their seeds anywhere from 200 to 1,200. Parentheses, they point out, if you want, you're welcome to count yourself. So that's basically the hack when it comes to pomegranates. Interesting idea, nice Devar Torah in your back pocket to unleash during the simanim, during the Suda. Very nice idea, very interesting. It's something that people talk about. People don't really research it enough. So those are the facts. Those are the sources where they're not, where they are. Now you have it in your, put it in your front pocket, because this is actually good to have, not your back pocket. So this, yeah. Correct, he quotes that. Malay mitzvahs karimon.
Right.
Correct.
So he's saying, how could it represent the Talmid Chacham? It also represents every Jew.
Yeah, because the juices, whatever. Yeah, okay, Jewish, whatever. Okay, yeah. Chasam Sofer, here's the source. Okay, so that's the story over there. Okay, so that's the Mishna Berurah on this siman. Those are all the Mishna Berurahs. Okay, so fine. Okay, so next time we're gonna pick it up from what comes after Mishna Berurah. Mishna Berurah, maybe Lavush. We got a lot of sources in here. We have to go through it a little bit more, tashlich, whatever. So we're gonna do that next time. Mitzvah Hashem, that's gonna be Monday.